Kadosh Boker or Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Yomi Daf Mem Gimel Mudale 43a1. It says we were just mentioning the concept that Bnei Yisrael did exactly what Hashem commanded. So the Gemara is not going to ask Elamiata. So now we're going to ask Vayirgimu Oto Avin. What does it mean now that they came and they stoned him? That is in the middle of the pasuk. So it says Vayidaber Moshe Bnei Yisrael Vayotziu Otam Kel Mechutz Machaneh Vayirgimu Oto Avin Uvnei Yisrael Asu. That means they did exactly what they were commanded to. What do you do with the middle of the pasuk? Vayirgimu Oto Avin. What do they do with it? If you're going to come and you're going to tell me that Bnei Yisrael did exactly what HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded, so for obviously they stoned him. So what does it mean by Yigmoto Aven? And so the Gemara the Tanya that you need for that which is written a right of Yigmoto Aven, Oto velo biksuto. You have to stone him. That means you have to stone him when he's without clothing and not with his clothing, not with the ksut. Aven shimet beven echad yatsa. What does that mean? Why does it say aven, not avanim? You should stone with stones, not with one stone. So it says she met be'even echat. If he died with one stone, yatsa bedin idei chova. Just like we're going to explain now. V'yitzich lemichtav right aven, v'yitzich lemichtav avanim. Now it says uskolto ba'avanim v'metu, and it says right v'yirgemoto aven. How do you do both? Is it singular, one stone, or many stones? So he says. V'yitzich lemichtav aven, v'yitzich lemichtav avanim. Di katav rachmana aven. It says hava mina heicha delo me bechada. If it wouldn't have died with one, lo niti achri to miktele. Don't bring other ones and kill him. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he writes in the Torah Avanim, it's in plural, until he dies. V'katav Rachmana Avanim, Hava Mina Meikara Naiti Tarte. I should bring two stones. Katav Rachmana Aven, that lechatchila it's going to be one stone. Okay? Fine. Veha Haitana Ne'emar Ka'amar. He says, 1 second. Right? What did we just say now? We just said that we were midayek from the pasuk Chotze Tam Kalelim Vayotziu, that you have to bring them out of two different camps. So he says Ne'emar, right? It says Michutz Machaneh, and it says Michutz Machaneh also beParim HaNitzrafim, and it says Michutz Machaneh here. So he says Ilu lo Ne'emar Kamar. He says the Tana, the writer, is saying if it wouldn't have been written, Vehachi Kamar. This is what it means to say. Ilu lo Ne'emar Kaf. The pasuk did not say Hotze and Vayotziu. Haiti Omer Gzera Shava. I would have said it's a Gzera Shava. Achshav Shne'emar. But now that the pasuk says Hotze and Vayotziu, Gzera Shava lo tzarich. I don't need a Gzera Shava. It's written mefurash in the pasuk. And Ravashi Amar Moshe Chayav. Ravashi comes and he says, 1 second, where was Moshe Rabbeinu? Machane Leviyah. It says take him out. So michutz machane Leviyah. When it says vayotziu et told michutz machane, that's chutz machane Yisrael. Vayotzi et kam kalel is going to be la asiya. So he says asiya behed yaktivu. It's written that they already did it, but it said at the end of the pasuk v'nei Yisrael asu kasher tziva Hashem on Moshe. So he says haumi ba'ele lesmicha ledchiyah. What do you mean? He says like this: this pasuk was needed for the smicha and for the dechiyah. Just like the Torah says that the Bnei Yisrael were mekayem, and they went and they killed the mekalel. It doesn't say that they took him out of the camp and then they stoned him. There's two different dinim. Anybody that heard about the mekalel, he's chayav lavo lismoch yadav al rosh mekalel. So if you heard that there's a mekalel, you have to come and you have to lean on the mekalel, and then they have to come and they have to push him, right? Mimakom gavoa. So he says. Right? He says, so the pasuk says, that when Bnei Yisrael actually did that, they did the smicha and they pushed him from makom gavoa. So Amru le Rabbanan le Ravashi le Didach, but according to you, kol hani yotze dichtivi parim hanisafim. So what do you do with all the right hotzis by parim hanisafim? Meaning by parim hanisafim it was written a few times. Why did you need all that? So he says, Kashya, you're right. That's a good question because we don't have an answer. Meaning, if you're going to tell me it's in order to teach you that it's going to how many camps, v'chule v'chule, so then it's good. But if you're going to tell me there's no reason, so then why do you have all these otzes? No answer. Okay, fine. 2 dots. Mem gimel amud aleph, 2 dots in the middle of the page. Echad omen. One of them was at the entrance of the bedin, and the other one was that there was going to be a sus, right, with on a guy on a sus, a guy on a horse. So Amar Ravuna says. Whether we're talking about the stone that was stoned to him, or the etz that he was going to be hung, or the saif that he was going to be killed, or the sudar that was used for the chenek, the strangling, kulam mishal tzibur. Everything comes from the money of the tzibur, and not from the money of the person that was the defendant. Meaning, all these things which are material, which is necessary, required in order to kill. Who pays for it? So he's saying over here, obviously, who's the one that's going to pay for it? It's not going to be the defendant, it's the tzibur. My time, what's the reasoning? Because we're never going to come and tell a person, listen, bring your own objects, so we could kill you with your object. It doesn't work. So by Ravuna is going to ask, Sudar Shevnifimbo, what about the Sudar which they use as a siman to save him? Or the Sus Sheratu Mamidan, right? Mono Shalmi. Why? Kevan that Saladide Mididehu, since it's in order to save him, so the opposite. I cannot have the logic saying, listen, I'm not going to tell the guy, listen, you have to bring me something in order that I could kill you with that what you bring me. Then no. But this is used to save you. So if this is used to save, whether it's the horse or whatever, to run, to stop them from doing it, or the flag. So that maybe you could tell him you have to pay for it. Or Dinma, given the Bedin, since the Bedin have to be saving him, so Mididu comes from the Bedin, which means from the money of the Tzibur. Vetu, and furthermore, Hadamar Rav Chia Barashi. That which Rav Chia Barashi says in Chazchasta. Hayotzel le'adeg, something that's going to be killed. Mashkino to court shelevona. They give him a gagira velevona, frankincense, which is going to be mixed with yain in order that it's going to be a little bit, and therefore, so why? In order, because if he's going to be too attached, what's going to happen is that he's going to have too much agony. We don't want him to have agony, so we make sure that in order that he doesn't go crazy, he's already a little bit, shatui, as they say, a little bit drunk. שנאמר בספר, תנו שלך לעובד, ויין למען נפש. So he says, "V'tanya, we learned that right. Nashim ikaros b'shalom yom mitnadvot u'meviot otan." They used to bring it, right? Shelo yinadvu nashim ikarot mishalmi. But what happens if the women didn't bring it? So who gives it then? So havadai mistabra mishal tzibur. Given the chtiv tenu. Tenu means you have to give it to them from yours. So therefore, it has to come all from the tzibur. Okay. Next. By the way, in the footnote 19, you have the reason. This is actually brought down also in the Rabbi David Abraham, that because of that we say lechaim when a person drinks wine. Because since he used to give wine to a person that was going to be killed, we don't want ever chas v'shalom something like that. So therefore, whenever we give wine, we always say lechaim, that there should be for good life, for life, not for death. Okay, fine. Ba min Ravacha min Rav Huna, bar Huna min Rav Sheshat. So ask Ravacha Rav Huna from Rav Sheshat. Amar echad min al-talmidim. If one of the talmidim come in and they say yesh li lelamed al zechut nishtatek. What happens all of a sudden? Right? He says, I have a limud zechut. All of a sudden, he can't talk. He can't talk. Ma, what's halacha? So Menapeach Rav Sheshat biyadeh. So Rav Sheshat, he went and he did like a bitul as if to say that, nishtatek, as afilu echad besof ha'olam nami. So therefore, even if there's going to be one person in the entire world, also the same thing, you're going to tell me the same thing. So he says, Hatan lo kama, there by Dinei Nefashot, right? Nobody came to say that they learned the zechut. Here, somebody actually did come and say it. Now he was nishtatek, so we don't even know what he actually really wanted to say. What's halacha? So Tashema Rabbi Yisrael Chanina, Zika umet. What happens if he was mizakeh? And then what happened is that he died before the Gmardin. We look at him as if that he's still alive and that he still said that he's zakai. Zika in only if it was zika. But lo zika lo. But if he didn't still say the zechut, then we're not going to see that he's alive. So says the Gemara, no, zika pshitali. Obviously, if he was mizakeh, amarti ba'elecha. But what happens if he only said it, but he didn't actually was mizakeh yet? So what's halacha now? Okay. So therefore, that's why there was a question, right? And we don't have an answer over here. There's no answer. Okay. Fine. Next. The two dots. Afilu hu, even if he himself could be melamed zechut on himself. We're talking about the defendant. So says the Gemara, afilu pam lishona shneya, even in the first time and second time also. Vatanya, we learned in the right. Pam lishona shneya, ben sheyesh b'mash d'varav, ben sheb b'mash d'varav. We always bring him back. Mikam va'elach, but after the second or third time, that's it. Im yesh b'mash b'dvarav, then we bring him back. But if not, no. So Rav Papa says, Tirguma min pam shneya va'elach. You're right. From the second time onwards, we would only bring him back, right? Which meaning the third time really, because it's only like the first two times you give him off, even if he doesn't. But the third time and onwards, it's only if he has mamashu bidvarav that you bring him back. How do they know? We give him a zug drabanan. He come mamash bidvarav ini lolo. So they give him two rabbis, and they start listening, and they're going to make the decision. Yes, he's got mamashut, doesn't have mamashut. So says the Gemara, so why don't you do that from the beginning then? So he says, Agav the bait lo matzi amar kol ma'ditle. You know why? He was so afraid of his death. It could be that he's not misugal to say anything. And therefore, once all of a sudden now that he's going to be, so it could be that maybe Be'emet right now, he's got, as if to say now he's not, it could be that now he's able to talk. Sometimes at the beginning, they're like, they get shocked or this, and then afterwards they're able to. So now they're able to. Says the Mishnah on the bottom, Gimel Amud Aleph, Matzulo zechut, patruhu. Right? If right now they found him as zechut, they made him patur. V'im lav, and if not, Yitzel Yisakel. Again, you take him out to get killed. וכרוז יוצא לפניו איש פלוני מפלוני יוצא להסתכל על שעבר עבירה פלונית ופלוני ידע כל מי שיודע לזכות וילמד עליו. So all of a sudden, he needs to come and needs to make an announcement that this person, so and so, that he's the son of so and so, he's going to be taken out to do sekila, but he did avira so and this were his witnesses. Mr. This were his witnesses. Anybody that knows the chut should come and testify about him. Abaye says, "Vetzarich lemeiman," and they have to say when they're saying the cruise, when they're saying this announcement, biyom plonim, they have to say the day, the time, and the place where he did the avira. Why? Because maybe the people are going to know the atum mezim, and then they're going to make it dim zomim. But if they're just going to say, yeah, he did it, okay, so nobody knows. But if he says the time, that say, oh, 1 second, this were the edim? 1 second, those edim were with us in Honolulu, and that. What's going on? You have to mention it. Vekaroz yotze lefanav, says the two dots, lefanav in miikara lo. It's only when he's going to be taken to be killed. That's when the cruise goes out, but not beforehand. Okay. Mem Gimel Amud Bet 43b. Amar Rishon Levi says Rishon Levi Kol Ozveach et Yitzro mitvadeh alav מעלה עליו הכתוב כאילו כיבדו לקדוש ברוך הוא בשני עולמים, העולם הזה והעולם הבא. תכתיב זובח תודה יכבד הענני. What does that mean? If somebody is going to come and he's going to be shochet, or he's going to be kovesh, which means he destroys or he conquers, the Yetzer Hara, and he's going to come and he's going to do vidui. Hakatuv, the Torah is going to come and going to say that he was respecting HaKadosh Baruch Hu in two worlds, this world and the next world. But it says in the pasuk, "V'todah yichbedani." Rishon Levi says Rishon Levi, bizman shebet Mikdash Kiyam, when the Bet Hamikdash was here, Adam akriv olah schar olah biyado. When he used to bring an olah, he used to have schar olah. When he used to bring a mincha, he used to have schar mincha. But somebody that's going to be humble, it's like he brought all the korbanot. Right? Who's the zivche Elohim? Zivche, plural. Elohim, ruach nishbara, somebody that below od, and only that, right? That means not only does he bring all the korbanot, a person that has a ruach nishbara, a broken spirit, meaning that he's humble, not broken that he's depressed. Below od, and not only that, that shen tfilatoni meset, his tefillah is always going to be accepted in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not going to be disgusting in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shneimar, lev nishva v'linidke, Elohim lo tivzeh. Okay. Mishnah, Mem Gimel Mubet, 43b says the Mishnah, Yad HaChok mi bet HaSekila ke'eser amot. Right, when the Nidon was going to be 10 amot of outside of the Bet HaSekila, Omrim lo, they told them, Mitvadeh, start doing vidui, confessing. Shkendere kol hamemutim, because all the people that they do, confessing mitvadim, they do vidui. Shekol mitvadeh yesh chochalom ba. Shekem matzinim be'achan, that's what we found by Achan. Shamal lo Yoshua, that Yoshua says, Beni, sim na chavod lo Hashem Elokei Yisrael v'tel lo todah. Vayan Achan et Yoshua v'yomar, Omna anochi chatati v'chazot v'chazot, u'bedayin shekebel lo vidui. How do you know that there was a kapara for the vidui? Shneimar v'yom Yoshua ma'achartanu, ya'akercha Hashem yom hazeh. What does that mean? We see from here that you are going to be, right, forgiven. Because it says here that now you're going to be achur, but not olam haba, because since you're already forgiven, so therefore, after he already did the vidu and he was accepted, so now he's going to be accepted to olam haba. If he doesn't know how to do it, they told him. And more, you should say, that his death should be a kapara for all the sins. Rabbi Yehuda says, if he knows that he was mizumam, he says, except for this. They said him, if so, everyone would say that. Why? Meaning the guy knows that he already did it, but he wants the keilu come out clean. So what's he going to do? That he never did it. So he's going to say this. So if you're already going to make a differentiation in what they say, everyone's going to say that in order to get out of the problem, as if that they're innocent. Says the Gemara, what does it mean when the pasuk says na? Remember that there we're talking about Yehoshua, that he wanted Achan to come and to do vidui, that he did milah in the cherem by Yehoshua. Remember that by Yericho, they weren't allowed to take any of the property. And came Achan, and he actually took from the cherem. He took from the property. So therefore, he was over on the cherem, and therefore he comes and he tells him, you have to do vidui, and he was going to be killed. So he told him, nah. So he says, what's nah? So he says, en na lashon bakasha, it's please, right? What does that mean? Right? He comes and he says, right, as follows. I think we have the pasuk even here. Right? Please, right? And na lashon kavod. So he says like this. Who did it? He told them, he says what? I'm a malshin. I'm going to tell you lashon hara. Lecha pol goralot. Do a goral. Pipil goralot. ונפל לגורל על החאן. They did a goral, and the goral fell on Achan. That means they did a lottery, and it fell on Achan. אמר לו, he says, Yoshua, בגורל אתה בא עליי? So he tells him, right? אמר לו, Yoshua, he tells to Yoshua, you come to me on a goral? He says, how are you going to kill me on a goral without a dim? So he says, אתה ואלעזר הכהן שגדולי הדור אתם. אם אני מפיל עליכם גורל, עליך מכם הוא נופל. He says, I don't understand you. Imagine right now you have two Gdolei Dor, Yoshua and Elazar Cohen. Obviously, it's going to follow one of you. So what does that mean? Amar lo, he says, "Bevakasha mincha, al totzi laza legoralot." Don't start taking laza legoralot. Shatida eretz Yisrael tichalek begoral. Shlemar ach begoral lechalek et. So ten todah, meaning hitvadel avonecha. He comes and he says, "What are you trying to do?" So Amar Ravina, Ravina says, "Shachude shachta b'mile." Yoshua came and he was meshached oto b'milim. Why? Klum nevakesh mincha el hodah. The only thing we're asking you is hodah. תן הודעה ויפטר. מיד ויען החן את יהושע ויאמר אמנע אנוכי חטאתי לשם לכיסו כזו וכזו עשיתי. So he says, so that's what he did. He actually admitted. So אמר רב אסי בן חנינא מלמד שמע על אחד משלושה חרמים. He actually went and he did three חרms. Two during the times of Moshe Rabbeinu and one during the time of Yoshua. שנאמר אנוכי חטאתי וכזאת וכזאת עשיתי. רבי יוחנן בן שמעון ורבי אלעזר בן שמעון חמישה, five of them. Four during the time of Moshe Rabbeinu and one during the time of Yoshua. שנאמר אנוכי חטאתי וכזאת וכזאת עשיתי. Chatati is going to be one. The kazot v'kazot, each one is going to be the two because of the vav. So it's going to be another four. So that's why it's going to be five. Okay? So 1 second. If he already did this so many times, why wasn't he punished? Whether it's going to be 4 times, 5 times, 3 times, whatever it is, why wasn't he punished? אמר רבי יוחנן משום רבי אלעזר בן שמעון לפי שלא ענש על הנסתרות עד שעברו ישראל את הירדן. הקדוש ברוך הוא do not punish בני ישראל until they crossed over the Jordan River. Yeah, until they crossed over the Jordan River. So he says, "V'ketanai." Says the Gemara, it's actually machlok ketanaim. Hanistarot laHashem Elokeinu v'niglot lanu v'nenu olam. Lama hakud? Why do we have a nekudot right on this? Meaning, in a Sefer Torah, you have nekudot on lanu v'nenu v'la'ain of ad olam. Why? Melamed shlo nashal nistarot shavru yisrael ta'den de Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Yehuda, because they weren't punished until they actually crossed the Jordan River. Amalo Reb Nechemia v'chiyah nashal nistarot leolam. He says they're never going to be punished on the hidden things. V'lo kvar ne'emar ad olam. אלא כשם שלא ענש על הניסרו, כך לא ענש על העונשין שבגלוי עד שעברו ישראל. He says, no. Just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is never going to punish on the nistarot, so too he'll never punish even on the things which are galui until Bnei Israel passed the Jordan River. Ela, but rather, says the Gemara, according to this, so why was he punished then? Achal ma'ita ma'anish. He says, Mishun davu yad be'ishto banav, because his wife and children knew, so it was already considered a galui. Meaning, if Bemet it was hidden, so he wouldn't have been punished. But the fact that it was galui, that's why he was punished.